Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping.
You know my name yet?
And Anthony Lionheart Smith.
We are live with the Believe You Me podcast. Anthony Smith has got the bits and bobs.
We're back.
I've got the... We're back, but not for long because you're going to Singapore on Sunday.
That's all right. We got one episode of the Bits and Bobs and I'm home. I drove all the way back from Denver. Got in at like 2 a.m. Sucks.
8-hour drive, you said, yeah?
Yeah. Well, it ended up being 10. I got stuck in traffic in the city trying to leave Denver for like 2 hours. Terrible.
I mean, it's funny because I've kind of gotten used to it. I drive, it's only to Vegas, 3.5, sometimes 4 hours, whatever. It feels like nothing now. In the UK, people don't like to drive. Like where I'm from, Clitheroe, you can drive down to London in about 4.5 hours. And that's like, do you know what I mean? Like I know people that won't drive to Manchester because it's like 45 minutes in the small town. They're like, that's crazy.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Driving.
But Americans are so accustomed to doing these long distances. It's awesome. Anyway, you're home. Enjoy the final weekend, brother. Feeling good? Feeling positive before we get into all the other stuff?
Yeah, I feel great. I'm excited. Like I've been complaining about this whole time. I'm not excited about the flight. But, you know, it is what it is. It's part of the job.
Well, let's talk about that because it is 16 hours. 16 hours. Fortunately, we're very lucky. We're very blessed. We get a business class ticket. So that's nice.
That is nice.
But what is will this be the longest flight you've done?
Yeah, by far. I got to go to San Francisco and it's 17 and a half, I think.
It's an edge.
Yeah.
And you can't even drink.
No, I can't drink. I can't do anything to take the edge off. I'm going to have to like figure out how to time it right. Cause if I don't know, take some sleeping meds or something and try to go out, even if I sleep 10 hours and wake up, I'll still have 7 left.
No, I know. Well, I do. I don't care. When I fly long hauls, I do. I take some pretty powerful sleepers, you know. But as you say, like, you know, you knock out to the flight to Singapore, you wake up, you've still got a monster journey left to go.
You still have a flight to Paris left.
and the bloody films that they have on these days are utter shite.
Yeah, it's
these new films, man. Oh my God, the bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll read a book.
This is not the movie review section. This is the Believe You Me podcast. We are generally an MMA-centric show. So shall we talk about the giant pay-per-view, which is happening this weekend in Boston? Where shall we start? Harrington, jump on the show, mate. What is the big storyline? We talked about Ian Garry saying that he was the true superstar the other day, didn't we? But did you see this thing with him and Jeff Neal yesterday?
What happened yesterday with Jeff Neal?
Harrington, do you have the details? I watched it yesterday. So Jeff Neal's doing his press day.
Or Neil Magny.
Pardon me, Neil Magny. The bloody Neils. He's talking about Ian Garry, saying how he's going to put a whooping on him. Brian, as I'm talking about this, see if you can find it because it's all over the internet. In fact, go to Ian Garry's Instagram, Brian, because he's done like a little video on it. So Neil Magny, almost said Jeff Neal. Yeah. He's talking about, you know, I'm going to put a whooping on this guy, you know, like you might give a whooping to your kid.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Did you see it?
Yeah. It sounds really bad when you read the quote on Ian Garry's like Twitter.
Yeah.
But I went and watched it and I get what he's saying. I get the point that he's making, but it's definitely being twisted a little bit to make him sound like shit.
Well, Ian jumps on and he's like, what is he talking about? I would never hit a child. And he gets his little bit. And of course, you know what I mean? Who's going to hit a child? But I don't know. To be fair, I think it was just taken out of context or he misspoke a little bit. But Brian, if you click that link in the chat, I think it's there. He does basically say, you know, something along the lines of like I beat my kids or something like that. I forget.
As the whooping that you give somebody in high school or in grade school, so when he tough on my mom and you put the beat him on there, and there's a whooping that you give your son now, like to kind of teach him life a little bit. And being a father, I've become quite accustomed to that kind of whooping now, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to giving on Saturday.
Being a father, I've got kind of accustomed to giving that up in that ass. Sorry.
You can't.
Whoa.
This is what I'm talking about.
Shush. Bro, he just sat there and said, being a father, word for word. being a father, I've got accustomed to giving that ass whooping.
All right, that'll do, Brian. That'll do. Thoughts, please, Anthony Smith.
I'm trying to decide which way to go with this.
I know it's hard. Well, basically, you got two trains you can jump on. The Ian Garry train, where we go, guys, nobody hits their children, okay? Or you can go on the Jeff Neal says, sometimes kids need a little tip tap, a little love tap. Just tap it in. What movie?
Happy Gilmore.
Whoa. Ding.
I've been doing decent with that lately.
But what are your thoughts?
I think Ian Garry's a little dramatic. Whoa, chill out. That's why you act the way you act. You never get your ass beat.
Oh, there we go.
That's why these young kids act the way that they act. Like, I'm just from a different fucking era. Like, I got spanked when I was in the wrong. And if my kids are extremely, extremely disrespectful, they will get their ass whipped. It's just part of it. It's just part of life. Like, you can tell what people these days were in the generation that still got ass whippings and which ones weren't. I don't think that Neil Magny was saying that he abuses his children. I think the point he was trying to make is, like, disrespectful, loudmouth kids get their butts tapped every once in a while. And that's just how he raises his kids. And I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah. I think that is what he's saying. I mean, but listen, to be fair, all's fair in love and war. So Ian Garry, he's going to fight. He's talking shit.
It's a little dramatic, though. Like, they're running around. Like, people are throwing their hands up in the air. Like, come on, chill out.
Yeah.
Not that big.
I mean, I get the point that he's making. That's exactly what he's saying. I'm going to beat him like a father might beat their child. I don't think he's saying that he systematically abuses and beats the crap out of his children.
I think the point is he's the older, more experienced, like, fighter versus the little kid. So, like, the little kid's acting up and he's gonna teach him a lesson. I think that's
put him in his place.
Exactly. Like, chill.
Well, that seems like a good place to start. We'll start with that real quick. So Neil Magny versus Ian Garry.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I'm leaning towards Ian Garry, though, if I'm honest. Last time out against D-Rod, that head kick was sensational. 5 wins in the UFC, 3 stoppages. I mean, he was caught and dropped pretty hard. Who was it? What was his name? Song Kinan dropped him in the first round, but then he finished him in the third. And it was a pretty close fight. Song Kinan, good fighter, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like Neil Magny's a level above a Song Kinan, though.
Yeah, totally agree. He's super experienced. Like, Neil Magny's made a living off of beating people that he shouldn't be beating. You know, he's got an incredible gas tank. He has a pace that's just hard to keep up with. He never gives anybody any breaks. I've trained with Neil a couple times. And even to myself, at times it hasn't made sense. You're like, man, I just didn't see him winning that fight. And then when I train with him, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, it makes sense once you're in there and you're in front of him. Like, you never get a chance to set up. There's no breathing room. It's just a constant pace in your face the entire time. And over the duration of a fight, that wears on you. He's done a good job of adjusting his style later on as he's gotten older into a really clinch heavy kind of game where he's slowing the fight down to a slower pace, but still keeping that pressure on. And never, anytime you who did he just fight? He just fought. I'll
tell you right now.
I was right there ringside too.
I'll tell you right now. Hold on. Wikipedia.
Another real tall Philip Rowe. And Philip Rowe's a great striker with a lot of power and finishing abilities in his hands. And Neil did a good job of really smothering him and not allowing him to really get off any of those long rangy strikes. So I suspect he's going to implement a similar game plan with Ian Garry. It's just, can Ian keep Neil off of him and keep that high pace over 3 rounds? I am leaning probably Ian Garry just because he's just younger and a little bit sharper, I think, of a striker than Phil Rowe. So, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Neil go in there and then just really stifle him and slow him down and take him out of his element.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it perfectly. For Neil Magny to get the victory, I do believe he's at a disadvantage when it comes to the striking area. If he can close the distance, force a clinch against the fence, look for takedowns, all the rest of it, he could grind out a decision. Who knows, maybe even a submission. But yeah, I tend to lean towards Ian Garry because he is fast, he is explosive, he's brash, he's cocky as hell, but that's because he's getting the results. And that's kind of what it breeds, you know what I mean? And he's young. All right, guys, let's give a quick shout out to Choq, CHOQ.com. Choq specializes in natural testosterone boosters. Look, listen, testosterone, as you're getting older, you need to replace it. If you're lacking energy, if your sex drive and your sexual appetite isn't the same, you need to up the testosterone. If you're not making gains in the gym, if you're tired all the time and you feel depressed, then that might be a big reason. And the reality is that men's testosterone levels are at an all-time low. Well, Choq Daily is the cleanest research-based testosterone booster available. The good thing is it's all natural. The reality is that a lot of supplements out there are filled with crap ingredients, nonsense ingredients. They lie to you. Well, Choq Daily, as I say, there's no label fluffing. There's no underdosing. Everything is there measured to exact clinical research, and they are proud to stand above the rest in clean, pure, and healthy products. But more importantly, it works. It works, okay? A lot of these supplements, you know, lose weight fast. They don't do anything. Testosterone boosters, they don't do anything. Trust me, I've been on this one. It's a bad boy, okay? We're talking all episode about, the spider bites that give you the non-stop erections. This stuff helps out in that department as well. And along with the Choq Daily, be sure you check out the Male Vitality Stack and the Stack Ultra. And of course, if you want 35% off your entire order, all you got to do is go to choq.com. That is CHOQ.com. Use the promo code Bisping. Get a massive 35% off your order. Listen, the most effective natural testosterone booster available on the market is there for you by going to choq.com. Code is Bisping for 35% off. Anyway, Harrington, jump on the show, buddy. How are you, my friend?
Dude, I am doing excellent, Mr. Bisping. How are you guys doing today?
Well, I'm all right. I'm getting accused of bullying you again in the comments section.
When? When have you ever bullied me?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I get the total opposite. I get comments and stuff all the time of people like, you guys are really letting up on Harrington. You guys have really got it soft.
Yeah, I was like, I'm struggling to sleep at night because a few people are upset with me. Some faceless names that I've never even bloody heard of. You sound tinny as hell, according to Brian Harrington. So whatever you got to do to fix that, and I'm sorry, I'm not picking on it.
Get bigger.
All right.
Get bigger.
How's that? Is that nice and?
No.
Is that nice terrible. And not tinny? No, that sucks.
Don't lower your voice like you have balls, though.
Because we all know you have no balls, even though you're a father. Yeah, I know. What's the big story, the big controversial thing to talk about right now? Before we get into predictions, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got some great non-MMA stories as well that might divide us. We've got some things to talk about. We've got some debates coming up. And, of course, lots of big fights and lots of news stories to talk about. But is there, before we give predictions and stuff, Harrington, is there a big story regarding UFC 292?
Ooh, regarding 292, not so much. I mean, the media day, the availability to other people because the UFC is in town. There's been quite a few stories rolling around, but let me take a look here, see what the big news from the card is.
All right. Well, you just dip off and do that, and we'll talk about the main event. Speaking of which, Aljamain Sterling, this is probably one of the biggest ones that Harrington could find. He says that 99%. If he beats Sean O'Malley, this is his last fight at 135 because the weight cuts are getting too hard. He wants to eat. He's getting older and all the rest of it. And he feels like he's done everything he can do at 135, something along those lines. I will say this. I agree with what the general consensus is at the minute because who said it? John Anik said it. I think Sean O'Malley said it. He's the greatest bantamweight. I mean, Dominic Cruz might come for me. But when you look at him, the records that he has, he's on the longest win streak. No one's ever defended the belt 4 times. You know, he's taken out some great fighters. TJ Dillashaw, granted injury. Piotr Jan, all right, controversy. Who else was there? Corey Sandhagen made it look easy. Cejudo. I mean, come on.
That's huge. Yeah.
What do you think? Greatest bantamweight of all time, the Gabot?
Yeah, I do. It's hard to argue. I mean, if we say that Stipe Miocic is the greatest heavyweight of all time because of the amount of times that he defended the title, then we owe it to Aljamain to give him that respect. If that's the numbers, you know, is he at 3 right now or is he at 4? He's
at 3. This will be his fourth. I've got some stats here because I did a little YouTube video, so I brought up the notes. Record of 14 wins in the division, 9-fight win streak, 4th title defense coming up. Hour and 8 minutes of control time, 3 hours, 50 minutes of octagon time, more than anybody else. And only one man has had more UFC fights in that division than him, and that is Pedro Munoz. Aljo's had 18, Munoz has had 19. And you put all that together and defending the belt for the 4th time. I mean, come on.
You got to give it to him. You have to give it to him. And respect him, respect his style, his personality or not. You know, I've never had any issues with Aljo. I've always liked him. I don't always agree with some of the ways that he goes about his media, but that's his business. You know, it has nothing to do with me and really about his fight style or his wins and the things he's done. You have to give him the respect, like him or not.
Yeah, for sure. I'm debating whether or not to say this. Did we talk? Aljamain came out and said that the UFC bought him a Lamborghini. Did we talk about this?
No, we didn't. I remember when he said it, though.
Yeah, he said that Dana bought him a Lamborghini, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm commentating recently, and before we started, Hunter Campbell walked by, and he just said, hi, whatever, niceties. And I go, oh, and I was just taking the piss. I'm like, I see Aljamain Sterling gets a Lamborghini. I said, I never got a Lamborghini. You know, just busting balls. Yeah. And Hunter's like, we didn't buy him a Lamborghini. I'm like, shut up. He's like, no, seriously, we didn't buy him a Lamborghini. He said, I don't know why he would say that. Dana needed a tax write-up. Aljamain draws fire from fans for Lamborghini gear I'm not trying to undo any PR for Dana, but they were like, no, we didn't buy him a Lamborghini.
No, I think Sean O'Malley, because the plates, like he showed the plate, and I think Sean had like the plates ran or something. If I remember right, I think O'Malley had the plates ran, and it was like registered back to like a rental company or something. Yeah, I think O'Malley did a video on it, to be honest with you, and put it on his YouTube channel.
Do you think he was just doing that because O'Malley does have a Lamborghini?
Yeah, I think he was being funny. Yeah. I don't think he actually thought anyone was going to believe it, but
I did. I picked a bone. I said, I've got a bone to pick with you. Where's my bloody Lamborghini? Like, Mike, what are you talking about? There's no Lamborghinis. Talk to me about this fight. Aljamain Sterling Sean O'Malley feels that he will catch Aljamain. He believes he's going to knock him out. He's already talking about defending the belt against Chito Vera if Chito gets the job done. I'll come out with it real quick. I think Aljamain is going to do what he did to Corey Sandhagen, which was cut the cage off immediately, ran right at him, took away the range, cut the cage off, caught a kick, got the body lock, took the back standing, dragged him down, and then choked him out unconscious. That is the perfect game plan. Now, granted, O'Malley's going to have his own game plan as well. Mm-hmm. But I think when you weigh them both up and you look at the fight with Henry Cejudo, and sure, styles make fights, and O'Malley's super fast and he's looking faster than ever on the pads and he's got good jiu-jitsu. I love Sean O'Malley and I'm a massive fan. And I like them both, to be honest. They both come on the show. I have a hard time listening or buying anyone trying to convince me that Aljamain isn't going to get this done. And I say that with the greatest of respect.
Yeah, I do as well. I really like Sean. I think he's really good for the sport. He's different, and he brings a different feel, a different vibe, a different look, a different mentality. I think he's good for fighters too. He seems like he's doing it a little bit different. So I do feel bad saying it, but I do struggle to see a path other than catching Aljo. I mean, everybody's got a path to victory in terms of landing a big shot and putting and hurting people and getting finishes. But I think if you take the 1 in a million kind of knockout, if he's not going to outstrike him over 25 minutes without being taken down. I find that hard to believe that Aljo's not going to get one takedown per round. I mean, look at the control time that he has, the people that he's taken down. Cejudo is not that's an Olympic gold medalist that he repeatedly took down. Sean O'Malley's going to defend them all.
Well,
that's hard to believe. That's hard to believe.
And that's it.
And he's good enough to get a finish on any one of those, especially over a guy. Corey Sandhagen is phenomenal. He's magical on the ground. And Aljo was able to finish him quickly. I mean, if he gets to the back it's just, and Pereria is an incredible grappler too. He doesn't get enough credit for his wrestling and his grappling. And Aljo took him down too, repeatedly, took his back repeatedly. Someone that's long, lanky, smaller waist that can get real tight around the body lock, long, skinny neck. You know, like Pereia's a little bit more stocky, so it's a little bit more beneficial to him to defend from the back. It just seems hard to believe that he's not going to get one. It's crazy.
And that is exactly what I'm basing my pick on. It's on that wrestling ability. I mean, listen, of course there's a world where O'Malley stuffs the takedowns. There's a world where he uses underhooks against the fence. If he is taken down, he bounces back to his feet and he gets back in the open and he uses that beautiful boxing, which is beautiful. And the stance switches and the way he blends it all together, his striking is very, very nice. And I'm a fan. I love watching him operate. I really do. But as you said, and as I said already, I just don't think that stopping the takedowns, sprawling and underhooking will be enough. I think Aljamain takes him down and either he gets a finish or at least a decision. And I could be wrong, but I think I'm going to say right now, prediction, 3rd round sub. I think he takes him down. I think he mounts him and ground and pound, and then we know the one from there. You turn, you give up your back, and that's that. But hey, I love Sean. I will be happy to be
and
wrong.
Sean could catch him. I wouldn't be shocked if he catches him with something big, in a transition. Like it's absolutely possible. I think over the entirety of 25 minutes, if it goes to a decision, I think Aljo wins that for sure. I don't know that Sean can stay ahead of him in the wrestling for 25 minutes.
Right, we're going to switch gear to a non-MMA subject. Okay. You like steaks?
I love steaks.
You like a good hamburger?
I like a good hamburger.
Do you like a good sausage?
Why you ask like that?
I don't know. No, because Rebecca always says, when I'm having a sausage, can I have a bite of your sausage? I'm like, any day. Whatever.
Anytime.
Sorry to her parents if they see that. Harrington or Brian. Brian will like this one. So I don't know if you've seen this. It's been talked about a lot recently. And I first saw this. There was a doctor came on, and he was talking about how they've discovered this tick, the Lone Star tick, that when it bites humans or whatever it does to humans, bites, sucks. I don't know what ticks do. I don't know a lot about ticks. That then the human, which it bites or infects, becomes allergic to meat, to red meat. This doctor, who's obviously a bloody do-gooding, bloody climate change activist, whatever, he's talking about what they're going to do is they're going to isolate the part of that makes the humans allergic to meat. Yeah. Isolate it, put it in a vaccine, and then we're going to start injecting everyone with it so that we are all allergic to meat. Therefore, the farming goes down and we save the planet, right? But apparently there's a lot more to this because Peter... They've been talking about this for quite some time. Harrington, the floor is yours, and then we can all lose our minds, debate, talk shit, scream at each other, talk about government control, vaccines, all of it.
I'll be waiting.
I'll be waiting.
He's just waiting in the back, like to drop bombs on people.
So I found an article from 2013. It says that essentially PETA found out about these Lone Star ticks. They're very prevalent in the Southeast, like around, Georgia, like all the way through the Panhandle into Texas. So what they found was that this meat allergy happened. So their idea was to breed them and release them across the Northeast and other parts of the United States to do, similar to what Mike was saying, create that vaccine, but doing it through the insects rather than a shot.
And then Harrington, just quickly, just read out that statement from Peter, though, because they come out and they say, look, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to release them into the wild, and they are being found a lot more these days. But go on.
Tell me this doesn't sound like some plague doctor. Just as leeches purify the blood, these tiny insects can help people kick a habit that sucks for animals, human health, and the environment. Obviously, PETA's main goal is to prevent animal suffering, but going vegetarian or vegan helps people lose weight, boost their immune system, and lowers the risk of 3 of our nation's biggest killers: heart disease, cancers, and strokes. Really, the only pushback we anticipate will be from fast food companies. Maybe McDonald's will start handing out free flea and tick collars with its value meals.
The only pushback is going to be from McDonald's.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I will wear a flea and tick collar for sure.
I will beat a PETA employee.
Yeah, for sure.
Harrington. I'm sorry, Brian.
Well, I just want to say, I don't really give a shit what Dr. Evil has in store for us. I'm allergic to coleslaw, and I still eat that shit. So, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. What would you do if, well, whether or not it was an injection or a natural way, a tick bit you? I would be fucking pissed off if I was allergic.
I'd be pissed. I'd be so. These PETA people are so. Ooh, I got a couple things.
Okay.
It's gonna make me sound like a huge piece of shit, but you know what? I'm just telling a story. It's my life experience. I'm sorry. A few weeks ago, I was working in Vegas, and it was the last time I was going to be in Vegas for a couple months. And I was like, I'll go buy my wife a Louis Vuitton purse, right? She's got this one little purse that she wants, and she's into bags. I'm into a lot of other things. She's into bags, whatever.
Fancy.
So I go to the Louis store. I'm like looking around. I got this nice lady helping me out. I'm sending pictures, make sure I get the right one. And I keep hearing this yelling and screaming, and it's like it sounds like a dying animal. And I'm like, what is that? And she was like, you want to see? It's like, yeah, I do. She takes me back downstairs on Vegas. One of the doors opens to the Louis store, opens up to the strip. Well, they don't use that door anymore. They leave it locked because PETA and the animal rights people picket outside that door all the time. So there's like 50 people, and they're playing. It's called a predator call. It's actually something we use when we coyote hunt, where you put the call out in the middle of a field, you go away from it, and then it pulls in the predators because it sounds like a dying animal. They're playing it and letting it like into the store, like through the door, like the cracks in the door, and they're just screaming. It's about they're there for the picketing the fur sales at Louis Vuitton, and they're just going ballistic. And so then I was just like, okay, I got to get out of here before these people see me and anybody recognizes me. It was nerve wracking a little bit, but they're pissed. Like they're going crazy out there. It's insane.
I mean, look, listen, I'm all for, being kind to animals. Of course I am. But the reality is that noise was very annoying.
It was so loud in the store too.
But meat consumption has been a part of man's diet since the dawn of man. It's as simple as that, And I do think maybe we could do a better job of maybe lowering, because we all eat tons of meat and there's tons of shitty, processed, garbage meat on the market, which isn't good for you. And it's packed full of bloody, GMOs and antibiotics, not antibiotics, what do you call them? I don't know, all kinds of bullshit, steroids and all sorts, which isn't going to be good for you. I think maybe we could lower that a little bit, but fucking trying to actively have a plan. And I know Brian will like this, because I saw another video, Alec Jones. Yes. Alec Jones. Talk like that. I'm the no man alive. Yeah. I just want to fucking no man alive.
The frog's gay.
There we go. He was talking about it recently, said there's a conspiracy. They're going to take these ticks. They're going to make everyone allergic to meat. And I was like, yeah, I mean, listen, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you never know.
But you never know. I'm with you. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I will say in Alex Jones' defense, he has been saying absolutely insane shit for like 30 years now. Yeah. And he says it in a way that makes you go, this man is a lunatic. But then it comes out where you're like, maybe he's just a little more alliterative than most people. Like when he's like, oh, the elites they're psychic vampires and they're coming to eat your babies. It's like, all right, well, that's crazy. But maybe there are elites that are trying to steal your babies. Like it just...
I don't know. He's been right a bunch of times.
Well, he's been a lot wrong. So he's been wrong a lot as well.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But if you say 100 absolutely insane things, but 50 of them are right, you still got 50 insane things right.
That logic doesn't stack up that way. You just say enough wrong things and then some of it will be right. Maybe you're just talking out your mind. It's like, yeah, granted, you throw enough shit at the wall, some of it will stick. But if you're just talking out your ass, that doesn't make some of it true.
No. But I seen this thing on Instagram the other day, and I meant to send it to our group text. There was Brian, you'll have to look this up as I'm talking about it, because I don't remember if it was in America, like in the States or not, but there was a spider that was somewhere in some place was evacuated. And this spider, once it bit somebody, if it bit a man, it gave you a permanent erection, like for life.
Oh my God.
It's a banana spider.
See, he knows.
I just know about this. I didn't read that story, but
Brian's been hunting for them because he's not been able to get caught.
He's just like laying in alleys and shit.
He's tried the Blue Chew. He's been on the Cialis. He's trying the lot. He's been tracking down John Jones's, where he got his dick pills from. He needs a banana spider.
My junk still works. Yeah, but banana spiders. It's called Paraprecia or something like that. Here, I'll find it. I'll put it up on the screen.
I mean,
but yeah,
for a second, you're like,
does that.
Yeah, awesome. But
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Walking around with an erection. You say permanent?
Permanent, like lifelong.
I mean, number one, how do you go about your daily business? I mean, you could tuck it in. You do the old tuck it into the jeans, the belt strap. We've all done that. We've all tucked it into the belt strap. Come on, Anthony, don't say you haven't.
Oh, of course. Of course. Of course. I'm just looking up to see where this place was evacuated.
Do you remember?
Here it is right here. A supermarket was evacuated after spider whose bite caused permanent erections was spotted amongst a bunch of bananas. It was in Austria. The penny shop Austria has remained closed since Tuesday since the horror sighting of the 4-inch black and red arachnid. 4-inch. Not only you get bit by a spider as big around as a plate, now you got a hard-on for the rest of your life. How do you fight like that?
You were saying 4-inch arachnid. I thought you were going to say a 4-inch erection. Oh, sounds gross. Just like it.
It does.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah, no, that is. Are you bad with spiders generally?
I hate spiders. My brother-in-law is real big into tarantulas, so my kids love it. They love going over there and holding the spiders and stuff, and they keep begging me to get. Oh, we talked about this with
Lucas has got one upstairs. Yeah.
Who do we have on that's into tarantulas too?
Oh, Jalen Turner. Yeah, he's into. Yeah, it's nasty. Yeah. Anyway, erections. Let's go back to that. Wasn't it bad when you were a kid and you got the testosterone running through you, and then just for some reason, I don't know if it's the pleats. Who said that? It's the pleats. Anchorman. And he's like, you've randomly just get an erection, and you're like, shit, you're at school or so. I remember I'd get one. I'd sit at the desk. I'm like, what is that? What's going on? Do you know what I mean? And that's where I discovered the tuck it into the waistline.
Gotta just tuck it in.
Just tuck it in.
Just tuck it in.
Anyway, all right. So let's go back to the fights this weekend. So Zhang Weili, Amanda Lemos, strawweight title fight. Amanda Lemos is a tough woman. She's there for a reason. But I just don't see, other than Tatiana Suarez, I really don't see anybody beating Zhang Weili anytime soon.
No, especially now that Rose isn't in the division anymore. That's a tough fight. It's a tough fight. She's just not well-rounded enough. And Weili is so powerful and explosive. She's so violent. She's just really, she's just violent. She's got crazy power in her hands. She never takes a backward step. She's a great grappler that she showed, like great wrestler and grappler like she showed in the Carlos Esparza fight. I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that Amanda Lemos is gonna catch her, because I think that's how she has to win.
The one recent loss that Lemos had was arm triangle. Was that the standing? It
was a standing arm triangle from Andrade.
It was great from Andrade, don't get me wrong, but that was kind of more of an opportunistic thing where Lemos made a mistake, and credit to Andrade, she saw the opportunity and took it. Outside of that, though, she's on quite a win streak. Before that, you got to go back to 2017. She got knocked out against Leslie Smith. Other than that, Miranda Granger, Montserrat Ruiz, Angela Hill, Michelle Waterson, Marina Rodriguez knocked her out in round 3. That's a solid win.
That's the one that stands out for sure. But
that was the big one.
I mean, you go back and look at Weili's wins though, and it's just legend after legend in that division. I think she's better everywhere, and I think especially in the female divisions, I think it's tougher to get those. And it's because they're smaller and they just don't have the same kind of power that the larger weight and men do. It's just tougher. And can she knock her out? Absolutely. But it's just they just happen less often.
Let's so we're both on the same page. We both got Zhang Weili. Harrington O'Brien, just look for this real quick. Chris Weidman, it's all over the internet again. He feels disrespected when he found out that he was on the prelims. Have you seen that, Anthony?
No, but I can imagine he's upset about it.
Yeah. He was doing an interview yesterday, and, he's like, he feels pretty disrespected. He's like, dude, I was the champ. I defended the belt many times. I snapped my leg. It was the first fight back from COVID in front of a crowd. I snapped my leg and I come back and now I'm on the prelims. Listen, I understand his frustration, but he's the prelim headliner. There is a lot of eyes on that, shall we say. And all he's got to do, and he even said, to be fair, because he wasn't overly bitter, he was just a little, he felt a little disrespected. I wasn't sure if he had his tongue in his cheek as he was saying it. Mm-hmm. All he's got to do is come back, destroy Brad Tavares, and he's right back in the conversation. I mean, he's had some incredible wins, as you said. How do you see this fight going down? Based upon what you said last episode and how good Weidman was, I'm assuming you think he's going to run right through him.
I don't know that he'll run through him because I have a lot of respect for Brad Tavares too. He's good. He's very good at it. Brad seems like the type of guy, and I don't know him. I've never trained with him, but just watching some of his fights and some of the competitions that he's been in, he's always kind of right there. He's had a couple where the Whitaker fight kind of stands out where it just wasn't his day. But Whitaker does that to a lot of people. He's been in some really competitive fights with some really good guys. So I don't know that he'll run through Tavares, but if the Weidman that I've experienced shows up at all, he's going to be hard to beat for anybody. That's not a Brad Tavares thing. That's a Chris Weidman thing. He's just that damn good. And I don't know that which is crazy to say, like, I don't even going back and watching some of his other fights. Like, well, that's a fraction of the guy that I've experienced, and he's still winning, So I think if he goes in there, Brad Tavares is going to have a tough time because Weidman's hard to hit. He's got a very funky style. When he fights, he especially on his feet, he looks more like an MMA fighter. But when I spar him, he looks a lot like Wonder Boy. He's he's a heavy kicker too. Like really heavy. He blames his broken leg on me. Have I told you?
I was going to say, he kicked so hard he broke his own leg.
Yeah, have I told you that like as a joke, he's always blaming his broken leg on me? When we were going into that fight, because we fought on that, I fought right before him. When I fought Jimmy Crute, and we trained together like half of that training camp, and he was crushing my leg. If Jimmy Crute had kicked me in the calf then, it probably would have only taken a couple, but all of his leg kicks were high on the thigh. My leg was murdered because he had spent weeks battering my leg to the point where I had to tell him, like, all right, dude, we fight in like a week. You got to stop kicking me in the leg. Like, you got to take him higher. Like, he was crushing my leg the entire camp. And now his joke is like, I got super cocky. I was like putting you on the ground with leg kicks. And so I went out there and ripped a hard one, and then it broke his leg.
I admire the honesty, Anthony, but you're not helping yourself in terms of the fucking can't take a leg kick.
Oh, that was.
They're coming for you. You know what I mean? Oh dear.
It's okay.
Listen, Brad Tavares is really good. I've always enjoyed watching him fight. Used to have knockout power. It's been a while, but he did get knocked out against Bruno Silva. Got beat off Dricus du Plessis. Went to a decision with Dricus, though. Did okay. Mm-hmm. He's good. He's well-rounded. He can stop takedowns. I just think Chris has more ways to win. He's fought way better competition. But the big question is, how good is he going to be coming back? I mean, what was that? How long ago was it? Was it 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2 years. And
2 years away.
And that's 2 years of getting older, too. I mean, he's not a super young guy. He's got some miles. He's dealt with a lot of injuries over the years. Not just the leg break. He's had some neck surgeries and hand injuries, and he's been really open about that stuff. So, I think he's got one good run left in him. It's a tough fight to come back on for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As you say, there's the 2 years away, 2 years being inactive. Whilst all that, when you consider it, it's a lot of that wasn't training. You know what I mean? That was recovering. And then obviously it got infected, I think, right? So he had to have another surgery as well.
Yeah, he had a couple.
So he wasn't plain sailing by any stretch of the imagination. And then 3 out of the last 4, he got knocked out. Jacare, Reyes, Uriah Hall, Omari Akhmedov. That was a solid win. But I've got Weidman winning this. But now you've got me doubting it. I thought you were boys. You've talked me out of it.
We are. Why did I talk you out of it?
Because you just said, nah, he's older. He's fucking.
No, I'm just saying. It's
I'm telling Weidman. I'm telling him.
No, I think he wins. I think he goes out there and he gets. I think he starts grabbing single legs, and those are just. It's just going to be hard to defend. Brad Tavares isn't an extremely accomplished wrestler. I think that's where the beginning and the end happens.
Yeah,
and Omari Akhmedov actually did a really good job dealing with the wrestling, and that's another high level wrestler. And Weidman still out wrestled the shit out of him.
Weidman in his prime, though, he was phenomenal. I just saw the knockout the other day. I don't know if it's because he's fighting this week when he knocked out Mark Munoz with that perfectly timed elbow. Oh my God, it's
perfect.
That was impressive. It really was. Anyway, so I wish him both the best this weekend.
Did you see he said he's going to go out and his plan is to throw the hardest leg kick he can?
Yeah. I did.
I don't like it.
I don't think he'll do that. I mean, maybe he will because you said he's got ridiculously hard leg kicks.
Him and Brad should make a deal. Like
no leg kicks?
No, just 1 and 1. We each get one free one, like to the thigh.
I don't get it.
I don't know. I feel like if I was fighting Chris and he says something like that, I'm like, all right, here's the deal. I'll kick you one time. You kick me one time as hard as you can. And we'll just so you can get it out of your head and everyone can move past it.
It's the next iteration of power slap.
Leg kicks.
Power kick.
I'd be better at power slap for sure.
Power kick for sure. You'd be shit at that.
I'd be awful. I wouldn't make it.
Magomed Ankalaev Smith out in the first round once again. I'm sorry to keep saying that. It's too good. Ankalaev Smith. All right, guys. I want to tell you about Kachava, which is one of our newest sponsors, and I am telling you, this supplement, this super blend of superfoods and greens and proteins and everything that you need for your body is amazing. Listen, long gone are the days now where you have to go in and you got to have a protein powder, you got to have your super greens, you got to have your probiotics, your adaptogens, your antioxidants. Kachava has blended it all together in one. It gives you everything that your body craves and you will feel your absolute best. And the good thing is they are delicious. They are absolutely beautiful. It's creamy, smooth, and it comes in 5 delicious flavors. They've got the chocolate, the vanilla, the chai, the matcha, and the coconut acai. Listen, as I said, before you had to have your protein. Well, this has 25 grams of plant protein per serving. And as I said, it's got the superfoods, it's got the greens, the proteins, the antioxidants, the adaptogens, and the probiotics. And let me tell you, you feel fantastic after this. I'm really noticing a difference in my recovery from lifting weights. It's really helping with the protein synthesis. You feel great afterwards. You are energized throughout the day. I'm going to the bathroom nice and regularly, and it looks good when it's coming out. Anyway, moving on from that because it's disgusting, but this stuff is fantastic. Get it all in one. Get all the goodness and all the vitamins, minerals, proteins that your body needs in one little scoop of Kachava, and you can get 10% off for a limited time. So right now, go to kachava.com, Kachava, kachava.com/believe. You'll get 10% off your first order. Kachava.com/believe. Harrington, Brian, Anthony.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the police?
Yeah.
Do you have respect for the police?
I do.
Yeah, me too. It's a tough job, a very, very tough job. In the UK, generally, I don't know, I think law-abiding citizens do. Mm-hmm. But, obviously they get called pigs and all the rest of it. A lot of parts of the country, they do not respect the police. Out here in the States, they have a very, very tough job. Very tough job, and it is very tough, and they take they risk their lives every day. Well, Harrington, just give the breakdown on what's going on with the small town in Minnesota. Because currently, the town in Minnesota has no police force whatsoever.
None. I think so. They had a police captain who resigned at a city council meeting, citing the fact that they refused to raise his officers' pay to anything over $22 an hour. They had one full-time officer and then 5 part-time officers who would fill out the rest of the staff, and every single one of them to a man left. Basically making the point they could make more working in and out than being police officers.
22 hours, $22 an hour, pardon me, to go out there, risking your life, protecting the innocent or whatever. That seems pretty low in this day and age.
That seems really low.
Well, it's not really low. It's fucking ridiculously low, let's be honest.
Yeah, especially to be a police officer. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes you got to prove a point.
How many hours a week do you think a copper works? So it's probably, what, 50, 60?
Yeah, probably.
10 to 220 times 5 is 1,100. And it's like $1,300 a week. But that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of hours.
Once the tax man gets involved, they're not making a lot of money.
No,
they're risking their lives.
$800 or $900.
What were you like growing up? Did you like the police?
Yeah, I guess I've talked about this a little bit. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but I got in trouble a lot, but I never had any issue with the police. It was never. I always have taken responsibility for my fuck ups. It's, anytime I got caught, I was like, all right, you got me, but it was never their fault. I always respected them. And
what are we talking?
What
are we talking? What kind of the criminal version of Anthony Smith? What are we talking about?
Lots of parties, lots of minor.
Just shit getting out of hand.
Yeah. A lot of loud raging parties, and then we'd run, and I'd get caught. There's a couple DUIs, like nothing crazy, but a lot of police contact though. And actually, a guy that's his name is Brian Briley. Brian Briley's arrested me a handful of times.
Good old Brian.
And actually, when I had that car accident, he's the one who pulled me out of the car. And now he's one of my closest friends. He went on our honeymoon with us. We hang out all the time. We do the farming thing with the cows. We do that together.
Nice.
Yeah, it's wild. So like, it just kind of came full circle. I used to be the guy running, and now we're friends.
Oh, well, it's a beautiful love story. It's a beautiful love story. Yeah, I think they need to be paid a lot more. Just like, agreed. I mean, the cost of living these days has gone up. It's insane. I think just recently in the UK, they're giving a raise across the board, but it's nothing. It's not even, it won't make an impact whatsoever. We got the writers' strike. Who cares about that? We got the actors are striking, the writers are striking. I was just talking to a mate of mine. He's an actor, and he called up out the blue. No one you would have heard of, lovely guy, and I know nothing about it. I know nothing about the actors' strike or anything like that. And he said all these people are asking for, and I'm going to misquote this, but he said it's something like 0.002% of the money they're making. It's so minuscule. It's nothing. And of course that would be a tax deduction anyway. And that's what all these strikes are of. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny increase on the revenue which is generated, but they're still allowing everyone to strike.
That's crazy. Like you see, what did I see there was like a talk show. They were talking about the writer's strike or it's the writer's strike, right? Is it the writers?
Well, the writers and now SAG, Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
They're striking as well.
And they was talking about, because of the strike, like what's happening to a lot of the people, like they were paycheck to paycheck anyways. And now there's no work at all. And then, so it's like, and a lot of these, like, these owners of these studios and these film producers and stuff, they can sit for as long as they want and not making any money because they got plenty of money already. And like, I don't remember who they said it was that said it, but it was said something along the lines of, well, we'll just hold out until they start losing their houses and stuff.
Oh, no, that's right. It was one of the main executives. You're absolutely right. No, yeah. I saw that. It was disgusting. And now people were really going after him. The CEO of Warner Brothers, Harrington, just put in.
Terrible.
Yeah. And then one of the big things is they don't want AI to be a part of the creative process, which I understand.
That's fair.
Fucking right. I think we talked about this. Have you messed around with ChatGPT?
I haven't yet. No.
Oh, I have.
I'm afraid of it.
Oh, it's so good. I ask it to do all kinds of stuff for me.
It's like an app on your phone, right?
I've got it. $69 for the year. It's fucking brilliant, bro. I asked it. I did this. Write me a rap lyric in the style. No, I said, write me rap lyrics in the style of Tupac Shakur about the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I was sitting there with a couple of buddies just to see what it would come up with. Mm-hmm. In the ring, I bring the pain like Tupac Shakur. Ultimate Fighting Championships where Warrior endured. The auction is my cage where legends go to wage. Battle of supremacy where only strong engage. I'm a lyrical assassin that no man alive. But in the UFC, warriors strive to survive, combining skills and technique in every striking jab. It's a fight to the finish. Ain't no time for a grab. And it goes on and on. It did that in 3 seconds. And it's like a full
like it's a full song.
It's a full song, chorus, everything. You can say to it anything you want. Ask me a question right now. Like, give me Brian or Harrington. Give me a task. Give me a task, not a question, because Google can do that. Write me something or give. What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Lionheart.
Right. Give me a synopsis. Is that the right word? Synopsis?
Yeah,
it's a fancy word.
It's a word.
Give me a synopsis on a sequel to the Jean-Claude Van Damme. Sorry, this is bad podcasting movie.
It's not. It's great podcasting.
Lionheart, right? Let's see what it does. Don't make a dick out of me. It's taking longer than 3 seconds. It's thinking about it. It's like, all right, here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. But on my last update in October 2021, there was no official announcement. Fuck off. Brian, edit that bit out. But it does anything else.
Yeah, anything but that.
Anything but that, you fucking dickhead. ChatGPT's a lot of shit. Should we talk about fights?
We should talk about some fights. I'm in the middle of downloading this goddamn app. Anyway.
Just ask it anything. Ask it. But not like asking a question, because Google can do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just have it do something for me.
What's this lump on my testicle? You've got cancer. Okay. It is.
GPT.
Yeah. No, but it's not like anything online, like WebMD.
Yeah.
Is it WebMD? Yeah. Straight away, you've got cancer.
Yep.
You've got herpes.
You're dying.
You're having a heart attack. You know what I mean? It's always do it, because I do it. I'm like, what is this thing? I'm going to die.
I tell people all the time, stay off of WebMD. Because no matter what it is, you're dying.
You're going to freak yourself out. Just jumping off about UFC 292, Israel Adesanya fighting Sean Strickland. Izzy says, did we talk about this Monday? I think we might have done. Izzy said that he had to fight hard behind the scenes to make the Sean Strickland fight happen, as the UFC were worried that he would embarrass the company. He said he's an idiot, and the UFC don't want him embarrassing the company. But yeah, that's all I had to say about that. So he should thank me. He should really thank me for actually making him get the fight. I pushed for it. Coach Eugene Barrowman knows what happened behind the scenes. I pushed for it, and I'm glad the UFC trusted me to listen to me.
I don't know if the UFC is afraid of that. I don't think Dana gives a shit. If that was the case, he wouldn't let a lot of things happen that's happened before. I don't think Dana cares. He always says this is a fight business. I don't think. Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot worse things said than things that Sean has said. That's for sure.
I mean, Sean talks out of his ass a lot of the time. It's hilarious, though. It's funny. Yeah. And I don't think Dana, I don't think Australians, I don't think anyone would give a shit. Sean says a lot of outlandish stuff, calls him a Chinese champion. So what? He loves anime. So what? Might get to go down a little bit down the homophobic route. But that's just Sean. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It is what it is. We're all grown men and women, and fucking hell, just don't be offended because he's talking out of his ass. He probably doesn't mean half of what he's saying.
Well, he talks out of his ass, and you're going to be offended by that, but not by watching two guys beat the shit out of each other for money.
Exactly.
Don't be a hypocrite.
The UFC never tell anyone what to say. Never. In all my years, because I used to say a lot of dumb shit. I'm trying to think, did he ever? I think the only time was he didn't tell me what to say. I think, because after when I fought Matt Hamill, and it was a real close fight, and a lot of people thought I lost the fight, whatever, not getting into that. I had this preconceived post-fight speech. The only time I was ever done that, and it backfired for me because you come off as cringe. I'm like, who's the real winner of the Ultimate Fight? Same when it always has been. Go back to wrestling. And everyone just started booing me, and I became public enemy number one. The next fight, I fought Rashad Evans. My first main event, I didn't get the job done. Split decision win to Rashad, but you still get to get in the microphone afterwards. And Dana just went, just keep it nice and cool. I think he just said that. Just keep it cool, Mike, as opposed to like, fuck you all.
You pieces of shit. I got fucked.
You Yankee assholes. It's rigged.
What other than because I've heard you say that the Matt Hamill thing is one that you wish you could get back. What's the thing you regret the most saying or doing? I
mean, there's a lot. Where do you start?
Like I meant like fighting wise, like to an opponent.
Yeah. No. I mean, to be honest, one of my biggest regrets of my career is that for the most part, now I take better care of myself now than what I did when I was fighting. You know, I was still drinking quite heavily in between fights for sure. When I was training for a fight, I was very disciplined, but in between fights, my diet would go out the window. You know, Paddy Pimblett ain't got shit on me, what I used to do. And then the drinking I was younger, I was in my 20s, you know what I mean? And it was hardcore, going out, proper partying, drinking. So I wish I didn't do that. In terms of talking, I mean, almost everything out of my mouth was abusive and offensive and all the rest of it, you know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean, where do you start? Nothing springs to mind. I mean, did a few things along the way. Might have got in trouble for spitting at Jorge Rivera's cornerman. That wasn't a good one, you know. But he did wind me fucking right up.
He did.
Spat at
big
him.
old dick.
Spat at him to show the contempt. I spat on the floor. I did not spit on him. No spit.
Right.
No spit landed on anyone. I spat on the floor. It's a deal. Anyway, it's a goddamn deal. So, yeah, Izzy, Sean Strickland. It's going to be a fun one. Let's go back to these fights then. UFC 292, Chito Vera versus Pedro Munoz. Give me your thoughts. Give me your prediction. Give me a breakdown.
That's a pretty good fight. It's a pretty good fight. Pedro's... You know, what was his last? Well, I think his last fight was the O'Malley fight, right?
No. It was your boy Chris Gutierrez.
Oh, that's right. That's a good win. That's a good win because Chris is really, really tough.
He's amazing.
And you know, I think that was really good for Chris. You know, he talks about that loss a lot, about how much he learned. He's really changed his mindset, like in training, because of that loss to Pedro. So I actually think that him losing to Pedro is probably the best thing that happened to him. But yeah, I forgot about that. That's a really, really good win. I just think Chito's a lot for a guy like Munoz at this point in his career. I think he's gonna be tough to take down. I would give Pedro the grappling advantage if that's where it ends up, but I just don't see him able to really. Well, I don't know, because I guess Sandhagen got a lot of takedowns too.
Just remind me, when he beat Chris Gutierrez, did he use a lot of grappling or was it on the feet? Because I commentated that fight.
A lot of it was on the feet. A lot of it was on the feet. Yeah.
And Gutierrez is as slick as they come on the feet.
He is.
He really is.
He is. He had a tough time. I remember Chris telling me that Pedro made him think a lot, and he said Pedro did a really good job of stopping what Chris did best. And then Chris, I remember it was a really fascinating conversation because he said, then that forced me to have to go back, you know, like check down my list of things like, all right, here's the things the coach is calling for now. And I should be able to do this stuff. But I've been so successful at what's been working for me that, yeah, we drilled through it and we worked it in practice and whatever. But it was kind of just, I was at practice, but I wasn't present. So like, he just wasn't comfortable enough to like do other things outside of his strengths, which I thought was really fascinating for a guy like Munoz to just take what Chris does best, shut it down, and then just kind of systematically pick at him the whole time.
Well, that's what a great fighter does, because you look at someone on film, you watch them in their fights on TV, whatever, and you think, oh, I'm going to beat this guy. He's easy. He's trash. His style plays into mine perfectly. But then all of a sudden you're in front of them and you're like, why can't I do anything? Why can't I get my jabs off? Why can't I shoot on this guy? And it's because of the things that they're doing. Their timing is a little different. Their footwork is different. I mean, Pedro Munoz has only been beaten by the greats. I'm talking about Jose Aldo, Dominic Cruz, Frankie Edgar, and Aljamain Sterling, right? There is no shame in losing to those fights. And remember in the Dominic Cruz fight, I think it was the first round, he almost had him out of there. He cracked it hard because he's got heavy hands. Knocked out Cody Garbrandt. He's fast. Beat Chris Gutierrez. Sean O'Malley, remember that one? I mean, what did you think?
He was winning that fight.
I thought he won round one against against O'Malley.
He did, on all the judges' scorecards. We talked about it on the post show. It's the only reason I know that. I'm not super smart. But
again, not trying to knock O'Malley. I'm saying he's going to get beaten. Pedro beat him. I love O'Malley. But that fight, it was a shame it ended. It's a tough one for Chito because Chito's got to go right at it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows I'm good friends with Chito. We have the same coach. he's always a slow starter. We know this. But the last few of his fights have been 5-round fights. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you can, even though last time out against Sandhagen, even though that didn't pay off, and say what you will, Sandhagen was brilliant, okay? And he had a bad night at the office, did Cheeto. But he can't do that. And this theme, and I'm sorry, Cheeto, if you see this and you think we're talking shit, we're not, brother. But this theme of him being a slow starter has followed him around for a very, very long time. And him and Pereira have talked about this at length and tried to combat it and deal with it. But he still does start very slowly. Against Cruz, it was a slow start. Against Rob Font, slow start. Corey Sandhagen, it was a slow fight.
Started. Yeah,
never really got started. In a 3-round fight, you cannot afford to lose one single round, let alone 2, because then you need a knockout to finish.
Right. And Pedro's hard to finish. So he's got to start fast. I used to be a little bit of a slow starter too. And we were just kind of able to figure that out. And it still shows its ugly face every once in a while. But he can't do that. He can't throw away the first 2 rounds. He can't do that with a guy like Munoz.
To combat that, you got to do it in training. You got to replicate the way you want to fight in your sparring sessions. Yep. So I'm assuming, because Pereira's a brilliant coach, I'm assuming they've been like, right, when we say fucking go, round 1, I want you right in his face, going for it. Now, of course, the problem is that you get over aggressive. Yeah. And then you make mistakes and you walk onto shit. So it's a real fine balancing act.
Which with a guy like Pedro Munoz is absolutely possible.
Exactly.
I mean, look at Cody Garbrandt.
But on the plus side for Cheeto, I mean, he is brilliant. He's very fast. He's got a hell of a chin, by the way. Cheeto, you can hit him. He's big. He's got great jiu-jitsu, underrated ground game. I think it's a tough fight for both men. I'm going to say Cheeto does it. Obviously, he's my boy as well, and I'm trying to support him. But I'm excited for him because O'Malley says if he gets the job done, Cheeto Vera will be his first defense because, of course, that's the only loss.
I'm gonna lean Cheeto because that's what my heart wants, and I just want good things to happen for Cheeto. I don't actually know though because it's a really tough fight for both guys. They both do things really well that is going to give the other guy lots of problems. So
yep.
But I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm rooting for Cheeto.
Right. Okay. Now Harrington throws an MMA story, maybe something along the lines of. Story number 3. Herringbone.
Oh, sorry.
Don't do that. Just because you're late.
Yeah, that's how you're trying to protect yourself.
Don't bring on the cutest baby that we. Oh, look at! Okay. Oh my God!
That is a really cute baby, though.
Yeah, Rebecca, come here, quick! Oh look my at this God!
Baby. How did you make that thing? Are you sure that you're the father?
I'm 99%. I don't know where another baby would be this Irish looking. It's not for me.
0.1%. That's real. That's a real factor. Because the thing is, I mean, she is gorgeous, Harry. Yeah. Congratulations. Because babies, when they're first born, let's be honest. Come here, babe. When they're first born, they look like aliens, right? When they first come out, they're not the cutest. Look at this, babe. We'll slide over here so they can see you, babe.
Look at that baby.
She's changed so much.
I know. It's got a little bit obviously.
Sorry.
There we go, babe.
All right.
Sorry.
Look at her chubby cheeks. How old is she? Like 6 months?
No, she just turned 4 months, but she's measuring 9 months.
Whoa.
Nice.
Big girl. Look at that.
Was she?
Look at that baby.
Sorry. I didn't mean to hijack the conversation, but as soon as I saw Aura, I'm like, Rebecca loves to see a baby. And
I know.
We've been monitoring it through episodes of the podcast.
So is she a good girl?
She's incredible. I could not have asked for a better baby.
Oh,
but she's causing Harrington
look at her
to be
just
late.
staring at the screen.
She's causing Harrington to be late when we're asking him to set up segments.
Who does she look like?
Oh God.
I'd say I think she looks more like
looks
Alex.
like her dad.
I think
that
so.
Whoever that is. No, she's definitely got your eyes.
I don't think so.
I mean, they're blue, but it's definitely. I think that's my side of the family. Like my brother and my dad both have like her eyes. So I think that's my lineage. Yeah.
No, she's absolutely gorgeous.
Does it make you want another baby, Michael?
Yeah, that's why she actually arranged for me to ask my doctor about getting a vasectomy.
I did.
Yeah, I'm getting the old snipperoo.
Snippity snip snip, Michael.
Yep. Get out of here.
I'm having a chat.
You know, but the baby talk is done.
We're talking about your vasectomy now.
We're back on vasectomy. I thought we were getting a 2-for-1 deal, Mike.
Oh yeah, you and Anthony could go together.
We're gonna
hold
together.
each other's hands.
Hold each other's penises. You know what I mean? You hold mine, I'll hold yours.
Just keep them out of the way. Save some tape.
Rebecca, did you know? Check this out. There's a spider out there called the banana spider, and if it bites you, you get an erection for life.
Permanent.
I don't believe that.
It's permanent.
I don't believe
Brian,
that's true.
she doesn't believe you. Doesn't believe Harrington either.
It's my mistake. It was actually the Brazilian wandering spider. I'm not sure if they're the same spider anyway, but yeah, no, he's right.
It's true. What are you meant to do about that?
Tuck it.
No, they have to drain it.
Tuck it into the waistline.
Is there like an antidote? Is that what you call it? Antidote?
Yeah.
You got to put a needle in your junk.
Yeah, it's called look at Harrington's ass.
Do you have to
take care of it?
You got to drain the blood out of your junk.
Because that's what it is. You'd have to drain it.
Oh. That's what they have to do. It's
and then
awful.
it'll probably fill back up.
Does it come back?
I don't know.
I bloody hope so.
That'd be a great way to torture somebody.
Listen,
Just
this is
keep having them get bit
experimental
by a banana
vaccine treatments that I am not going to get involved with. You know what I mean?
That's why I stay away from spiders.
Yeah,
Should we be talking about this in front of Aura? Feels a little inappropriate.
She doesn't have headphones on. She has no.
Okay.
Hold on.
I think that's my cue to leave.
The headphone is. You hijacked the show. I just wanted to show you Aura and how beautiful she is. She is beautiful. Thank you, darling. All right. Back to the show.
So Dustin Poirier is coming out. He has an issue with the proposed, idea of Conor McGregor coming back in December. He says, for me, if they waive that 6-month testing period and allow him to compete with no drug testing, it kind of makes a joke of the whole thing. Just remove it completely. There shouldn't be gray areas. It's white and black with USADA. You take tests and pass them, you're able to compete. You don't take tests, you don't compete.
I don't disagree. Yeah,
No, you can't
I don't disagree.
You can't disagree. And I want to choose my words very carefully, but I mean, because listen, USADA do an incredible job, right? And it's cleaned up the sport. Simple as that. And guidelines have to be followed and adhered to. And he's absolutely right. They can't make special allowances. But I guess because they want McGregor to come back soon, and by all accounts, I don't know, I think we got to assume that he's not taking the good stuff anymore.
It doesn't. He looks different.
You think so?
He looks a little different. Yeah.
Well, like bigger, you mean?
No, smaller.
Oh, the face?
Yeah, his face is.
Oh, you mean he looks smaller, like he's come off the stuff?
Oh, yeah. Like he's coming back down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally just spitballing off the top of my head, but I guess if they wanted him to expedite the timeline, I guess you just got to get some written authorization from Michael Chandler, and that's up to Michael Chandler.
That's kind of where I was going with it. Like, if it's just can Conor come back and fight, and that we're not taking anything else into it, I would feel like that's a little bit weird. That I don't disagree with what Dustin Poirier is saying, but by saying that, we're taking an opportunity away from Michael Chandler, which I don't want to do. And Chandler has said numerous times that he does not give a shit, and he just wants to fight. He wants Conor to be back. He'll I'm sure he would sign anything. So because Chandler's okay with it, and he's aware of all the circumstances, that makes me be like, I'm all right. I'm all right with it because he's all right with it, and he's it's not like he's not in the know with what's going on and what's been happening in the last year and a half. So if he's okay with it, then why would I not be,
Yeah, correct. I mean, it allows Chandler to make an informed decision.
There we go.
And as long as he now has proof that he's not taking anything, and between Chandler quote from this week, it's happening in December. I'm not holding my breath. I don't know how much he's training. We've seen him on bolts more than we see him hitting bags, which is true. But we do see him on bolts lifting weights also. Right. So he's doing a little bit of training. But yeah, if Chandler can make an informed decision, if he can say, look, listen, we're testing him now. It might not be 6 months, but it might be 4 months. You get to fight at the end of the year. You get to have a massive pay-per-view, and the payday will be ridiculous. And are you happy to sign off on that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how these things work. I've never been involved with any of these conversations. No. I never had any controversy myself with USADA. I don't know. I'm very not ignorant, but I'm not the best informed with that side of things. But right. I would assume that if both men agree to that, then that's how we might see an expedited return for McGregor.
I hope so, for Michael Chandler's sake. He went all the way through. He did the show, sacrificed that time away from his family, and now has had this carrot dangled in front of his face. Like and that's how the Ultimate Fighter works too. Like that's the idea. Like you got to kind of stick with the history of the show and give Michael Chandler the opportunity that he was presented. Maybe he wouldn't have done the show if he would have known that there wasn't a fight at the end of it. I think that's only fair.
And do you know what? And I'll say this. I ain't the biggest cheerleader of McGregor, far from it, but I hope so for the sport's sake. Mm-hmm. You know, McGregor brings a lot of excitement. You know what I mean? Whatever you think of his antics these days and the mixed results, so fucking what? People win some, people lose some. That doesn't matter. You cannot deny the eyeballs that he brings to the sport. All right, he's a bit cringe or whatever. He's always constantly flashing his watches in every video he does. You would think that he's over that by now because we all know you're loaded, bro. But the energy, the excitement, the eyeballs that he brings to the sport, they're all pluses. It's all beneficial. It's great for Michael Chandler. It's great for us. It gives us stuff to talk about. It's great for everyone.
Right.
It's great for the sport in general. And listen, I'm very much looking forward to him coming back. But I don't think we've got too many fights with McGregor left.
No. Look how hard this one is to put together. You know, a couple more of these and that's it. Probably.
He's 35.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's just running out of time. And if it takes you know, a ridiculous amount of time to get each one together. It didn't used to be like that, but he is getting older. He's got a lot more going on. He's got a lot more distractions outside of the octagon as far as businesses and endeavors. You know, and he deserves to be able to sail off in the sunset at some point.
Oh, 100%. What a way to finish off the year, though. Yeah. Chandler versus McGregor at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. That would be phenomenal.
That would be
phenomenal. What do you reckon, though? Who wins that fight?
Oh, man. There's a chance it looks a lot. Brad Katona said this on his media day. There's a chance that it looks a lot like McGregor Eddie Alvarez. If Chandler if Chandler was to.
Brad Katona will say that. Sorry to interrupt. Brad Katona will say because that's his boy. He trains at SPG and all the rest of it. Nonsense.
I think Eddie Alvarez is a better striker than Michael Chandler. So how's that?
Yeah, but hold on. But you got to remember that was the prime, peak, hungry 2016 version of Conor McGregor. A guy that hasn't fought, a guy that was fighting regularly all the time, a guy that was still on the come up, a guy that was itching, scoring. He was on fire. The reflexes were like lightning. The power was there at 145 and that 155. You know, look at the fights with Dustin Poirier, the last two. All right, against Khabib, I thought he did very well, to be honest. I mean, nobody's beaten Khabib, so there's no discredit there. But it was a different version now. And he looks slower and he's got older, you know. 2016, 7 years ago, he was 28 years old.
Yeah, but it's more of a more of a Michael Chandler thing for me. If Chandler goes in and uses his wrestling and he mixes it up and makes it a mixed martial arts fight and doesn't go in to please the crowd, I think that's a fight that he wins most of the time. The problem is Michael Chandler won't do that. He'll pretend like he's going to for like a second, but he cannot ignore the crowd. He cannot not entertain. If he worried more about his W and less about what the crowd thinks about it and trying to be the most exciting man on the planet, Michael Chandler beats Conor 9 out of 10 times. But he can't stand in front of Conor with their frames and the reach advantage and the accuracy of Conor. You can't stand in front of him and fight him like you would Justin Gaethje. He's too pinpoint accurate, and he's too slick.
Dustin Poirier did. I'm not trying to discredit Conor, and you're absolutely right. What was
look what Dustin did to Chandler on the feet too. You know what I mean? It's
but Chandler ran out at the start of that fight. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The reason about Chandler, he just can't, and I don't think it's him trying to be a fan pleaser, which of course he is. He's one of the most exciting fighters that we have. I think it's just there's a switch that goes in Michael Chandler. Do you know what I mean?
He can't help
an internal switch, and he's not in control of that. And he's just like, we're fucking having it. We are going to war. And I don't give a fuck if this ain't the smartest thing. You just punched me in the face. I'm going to fucking punch you back. Because look at that fight with Dustin Poirier. If I remember rightly, at the start of the first round, he ran over and it was just one punch after the other. And he was landing on Poirier as well. Then, of course, Poirier, block, boom, came back. It was very nice boxing.
And then wrestled in the second round.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, I don't think he can help himself. And he argued with me because I said it to him. I don't think you can help yourself. Like, as much as your coaches, you can hear them screaming your instructions and you can see that you want to, but it's not as much fun. And like, he just can't help himself.
Yeah. No, I agree. I love it. I can't wait. All right, guys, we're going to talk about Manscaped real quick. And if you go to manscaped.com and you use the promo code Bisping20, they're going to give you 20% off and free shipping. And that's a big one, by the way. Look, listen, Manscaped, they are the market leader when it comes to men's grooming for the face or below the waist. But one thing I want to tell you about right now is the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. In the Performance Package, you will find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. You know the deal by now. You've heard of us talk about this for a long time. It's a great piece of equipment if you're a man for shaving downstairs. It's waterproof. It's got a long battery. It won't cut you. It won't nick you. You know the drill though, right? We've talked about that for years. It's a fantastic piece of equipment, and the 4.0 is the latest iteration. You also get the Weed Whacker, right? For the ear hair, the nose hair. Nobody wants to see that. The Weed Whacker comes with it as well. You also get the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant. You get the Crop Reviver Toner if you want to tone your balls. The Performance Boxer Briefs, they're in there as well. And you get a travel bag to hold it all together. So when you're on the road as well, you get the Manscaped travel bag thrown in for free. Also, there's the Sheer 2.0 kit for taking care of those feet. If you buy the pool, if you buy the beach, if you're just walking around the house, you've got to take care of the feet, take care of the toenails, your fingernails. In there, you will find stainless steel nail cutters. I used them recently. They are the sharpest bloody ones ever, I'm telling you. I got some gross thick toenails. They just blast right through those bad boys. You get the tweezers, you get the grooming scissors, you get everything you need to take care of your feet. And that's just some of the products. If you go to manscaped.com, if you want to take care of yourself, personal grooming is something that you should be paying attention to. Go to the website, manscaped.com. They've got everything you need, but the Performance Package 4.0, take a look at that one because it is tremendous value for money. So as I say, one more time, go to manscaped.com, use the code Bisping20. You will get a massive 20% off and free shipping. All right, anyway, Harrington, what else is going on in the world of... Well, what's going on in the world?
Well, probably the biggest story yesterday, I would say, is Bradley Cooper was getting a ton of flack. He is playing a famously Jewish composer in a new movie that he is both starring in and directing. And he made the artistic choice to give himself a very distinct, let's say, prosthetic nose. And a lot of people are saying it's pretty anti-Semitic.
They are. And this is where I just think this is crazy because we see this all the time lately. You know, like, I mean, he's playing a Jewish guy, right? He's, I don't know if he's Jewish or not, but he's obviously not. It's called acting, okay? And they want to make him look like the guy. So they extend the size of his nose. Oh, so that's the original guy. I would say, maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't see the difference in that as opposed to sticking on a fake mustache, a fake beard, putting on a wig. You know, we see all kinds of controversy these days where an actor plays a gay man and they're like, that's ridiculous. The gay man should play it. It's acting, right? And I think people need to realize that. It's insane.
I've always had an issue with people getting mad at comedians for the whole idea is for comedians and films and movies to I don't know, to just entertain you. And I don't know why it has to be so offensive. If you don't like it, just don't watch it. I don't see any issue. If it was, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's as basic as I can make it. It just, it's not real. And it, like you said, I think it's the same thing as putting on a fake beard. Should everyone with a real beard be offended by that? I don't think so. And if he's trying to look like, if you're playing someone with a beard and you put on a fake beard, I don't think that's offensive to the original person or everyone with beards. If you're playing someone that has a large nose, so you wear a prosthetic nose that makes yours larger to make it more like the appearance of the person you're playing, I don't know how that's anti-Semitic. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, anytime a film is a biography and it's about somebody, the lead tries to look like the person. You know what I mean? When the actor did the Elton John movie, I mean, there's a bloody million of them. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You try and look like that person. He's trying to look like this person that was a real life character. Maybe the guy had a bigger nose, and he's like, well, my nose isn't as big. Do you know what I mean? If I'm playing a bodybuilder, the director might say, Mike, you need to bulk up. I did this Red Sonja movie last year, and I'm playing a barbarian. They're like, Mike, we need you to bulk up. You need to be bigger. So I've lifted tons of weights. I was on the protein shakes galore, got the bison tries, fucking popping like a motherfucker. And hey ho, off we go. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
If all Bradley had to do was stick a fucking piece of plastic on the end of his nose. I don't think that's insulting to the Jewish people. I think it's actually, it's almost an insult to their intelligence. I mean, it's pandering. It's just, I mean, listen, it's just insane that people want to be offended by everything.
Right. I totally agree. Because I just thought of it there. Remember the movie Tropic Thunder? Yeah. I
mean, that's
with blackface.
With Ben Stiller, and then Robert Downey Jr. Never got full retard. That's a number one. That's a funny movie. Yeah. But Ben Stiller, I think he was asked recently, and he's like, I think he said, I apologized at the time because I think there was obviously a lot of outcry about the blackface stuff. Mm-hmm. But then he was asked to apologize again kind of recently and was like, no. He said, I'm proud of the film. He said, the idea was to show that actors will do whatever they can do to try and win an award. It was just basically taking the piss out of actors going too far down this, like, what do you call it? Method acting, methodology. Is that a word?
I think so. I think that's the word. Methodology. I think that's the
Thinking. Thought process. And he was just having fun with that. Now, granted, I understand the controversy with blackface. I think that's a little bit different. No, you nailed it, Brian says. Thank you, Brian. Methodology. I think that's a little different. I think there was grounds to say that is kind of offensive, but I understand Ben Stiller saying no. He says, I make no apologies for Tropic Thunder. It's always been a controversial movie since when we opened. Proud of it. And the work that everyone did on it. Well, good. I'm glad because that movie was absolutely fantastic.
It was great.
I haven't seen that in years. I got to go watch that again.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's been a long time.
But just going back to the original point, like I have no issue with a straight actor playing a gay actor. I don't have any problem with a gay actor playing a straight person. The key word is acting.
Acting, right? Well, I don't see any, like. No one gets up in arms about a movie where people get murdered because they had someone in their family get murdered. Like it's, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe that's not a great comparison, but I don't know. Everything doesn't have to be offensive.
Yeah. Well, everything's not offensive. People are just looking to be offended. And
what does Rogan call it? Recreationally enraged.
Oh, is that what he says, Rogan?
Yeah, he says people these days like to be recreationally enraged.
Yeah, and then they also want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Social justice warriors. Mm-hmm. They want to get on Twitter or Instagram and talk about, try and make themselves look good. I'm offended for this group of people that are being misrepresented or whatever. When realistically, I don't know, maybe they do give a damn. But it's like, dude, really? You're going to get on your soapbox over this? Bradley Cooper's playing someone and he's got a bit of a prosthetic nose. You know what I mean? I have a fake eyepiece in. Is that offensive to old people with two eyes?
I'm offended a little bit.
Is it offensive to people with one eye?
I don't know. I don't have one eye, but I have two, and it's offensive. I'll never be able to top your best party trick. It's bothering me. You got the best party trick I've ever seen. There it is.
There it is. I mean, look at that.
I feel way better.
Yeah, you happy now? You happy now? Because I feel like a right dickhead. And rightly so.
I remember the first time you popped it out was when we first met in LA, when we worked that first event. And me and you and my wife were sitting in the hotel bar having a couple drinks, and you said something, and my wife was like, "What?" And you popped your iPod, and she was like, "What the fuck?" It was incredible.
It's always, if you get bored and you got nothing to talk about, you go, "Do you want me to pop my eyeball out?" Oh no, excuse me, guys. Oh dear. All right. Harrington, real quick. You have places to be, people to see, flights to catch, bags to pack, babies to kiss. What is before you leave for a fight, Anthony, what is the last couple of days? Do you have like a little ritual that you do or anything like that? Not really. Just kind of maintaining right now. So the bulk of camp is done, but now we're just pushing my cardio still, kind of just turning the motor on and off. I got a decently hard practice tonight, but then Friday, Saturday will just be, some walkthrough stuff, some cardio, and then we fly out. I meant more with the family, with the children. Is there something you do? Do you go out for a nice dinner the night before or something? Yeah, I'll have a nice dinner on Friday. With a couple friends of ours. We're going to go out to dinner and then just hang out. You know what I mean? Just hang out with the neighbors and the kids and just get as much downtime. Because as soon as you land, it is, your media schedule's crazy and the time difference it's like a 13-hour time difference. So it won't be a lot of time to chit chat and find times to talk with them. So just hang out with them as much as I can. Okay. Harrington, mixed martial arts, what have we got? A couple more stories and then we'll finish up with some questions as always. But Harrington, what have we got? So I think what we have. I have the notes right in front of me. It's just I'm giving Harrington airtime. Right. That's why. No, I know. But I'm just letting people know, pulling the curtain back. No. And I love it. Thank you so much, Mike. So Alex Pereira had some interesting comments this week. He said that the fight with Jiri Prochazka will, at least for him, stylistically be an easier matchup. Will be a tougher matchup than the upcoming Jiri fight. He said, I think, and some people won't agree, but I think Jan is a tougher fight because he has that grappling game. It makes it a bit harder for me, makes my striking less effective. But I think that will be different with Jiri. I think he'll come to fight on the feet. Hold on. So Pereira said that Jiri is a tougher matchup than Jan, or Jan's a tougher matchup than Jiri? Sorry, pardon me. Jan is a tougher matchup for him than Jiri. I think I agree with that, Anthony. What do you think? Obviously, your division. Yeah, I think I do agree with that. Jan is, and just kind of like we talked about leading into the fight, he's hard to get over on. He does have a great grappling game. He's got good takedowns. Obviously, he was able to, in that first round, was able to secure a takedown and kept Pereira down the entire time. But also on his feet, he doesn't leave a lot of holes and openings and opportunities to really strike on, which we kind of seen in the fight. Pereira didn't really land anything huge. He did kick better. He did land more kicks than I expected him to. He did a really good job there, but Jan was able to keep it close on the feet and outstruck him in the third round. So I think that Jiri, because he is so flowy and creative and kind of all over the place, that he leaves a lot of opportunities to land shots. So I do think that it's probably and that's not saying that I think that Pereira wins easily by any stretch of the imagination, but it does leave more opportunities for success. It feels like, and of course, guys are bigger at 205, so they could take a bigger shot. It felt like, and Jan Blachowicz is a former champ, as tough as they come, but he didn't really have an issue with Pereira's power. You know, I got a lot of shit for saying that too. Leading into the fight, they asked me, I worked the desk for that show, and they asked me, what do you think the biggest difference is going to be when it comes to his striking? I'm like, he's just another guy at 205. Not saying he's not insanely powerful, but they're all insanely powerful. Is he more powerful than Rakic? Is he more explosive than that? I don't think so. I think he's right there with those guys. With Rakic, or Johnny Walker is extremely explosive and powerful. All those guys, Jan, Jamal Hill, like those guys are all powerful.
He doesn't stand out wildly like he does at middleweight. Now he's still crazy technical. I mean, he's a multiple-time world champion kickboxer. He's a world champion in the UFC, knocked out Israel Adesanya. That guy can strike. But in terms of just his power and his danger factor with his punches, they're all dangerous. They can all knock you out.
But we've seen Jiri Prochazka also be very, very, very powerful. I mean, the man's got knockout power for days. Yeah. He's knocked out so many people. Harrington and Brian, just give us a foreshot, because I want to hear your opinion here. Just with you talking about that there, Anthony, made me think of this question, and I'm interested. I'm just looking at Jiri Prochazka, by the way, sub over Glover, Dominic Reyes, knockout, Uzdemir, knockout, CB Dollaway, knockout, Fabio Maldonado, knockout, Mohamed Lawal, TKO, Brandon Holzer, TKO. Before, it's all bloody TKOs and knockouts. He's got 25 knockouts over 29 wins.
The most impressive one to me is the Volkan Ozdemir one.
Because he's got a chin for days.
I hit that dude with everything and the kitchen sink, and I couldn't even get him to fucking blink. It was insane. It was insane. When he knocked him out, I was like, okay, this guy's for real, for real.
Anthony, I can't make Volkan Ozdemir blink Smith. In the history, here's the question that I'm interested to know. When you look at the history of the light heavyweight division, who in your mind would you say is the hardest hitter that we've seen? Some of the front runners would be Chuck Liddell, Quinton Rampage Jackson.
Yeah, I was going to say those dudes.
Rampage would...
Rumble.
Yeah, but probably by far.
Rumble. Yeah.
I don't know about by far, but I'll never forget when he clocked Daniel Cormier the first shot and sent him
across the ring,
the other side of the octagon.
Yeah,
we get one choice.
Guys out at heavyweight too. Before that.
So who are we picking? We get one pick each. Brian, we'll start with you. We'll go around the table.
I'm going to let Anthony say Rumble. I'm going to go with maybe Rampage.
Harrington.
I was the one who said Rumble in the first place. That's always my guy for biggest hitter. So I'm gonna take Rumble.
I'd probably go Rampage, to be honest. I would say Rampage because like the way he did Vanderlei and Chuck, and I mean he was stiffening people up.
It was like he killed my dog when he knocked out Chuck.
I think, and he was the first one to start that series of knockouts that Chuck Liddell suffered, you know? So that's what made it even more impressive because he was the champ and Chuck was knocking everyone out. We've got to give a special mention to Chuck Liddell because overhand right was a thing of legend. However, I think Rampage pits him to the post. That's who I had in my mind. But you do throw in a good curveball there with Anthony Rumble Johnson. May he rest in peace.
Yeah. Those two for sure are at the top of the list.
Top of the list, top of the tree. Real quick, Harrington, give me what? I don't even know who Bradley Martin is. Right? Is he a podcaster? I know he's a bodybuilder. He's out there chatting shit. He's challenging Demetrius Johnson to a fight or something. Give us a bit of background. Give us who he is in the whole situation, please.
He is a podcaster, a bodybuilder, and professional hypothetical fighter. So that's become his favorite thing in the world is to have fighters on his show or to go on their show and ask them how they would do in a street fight against him being a, I think 260, 280 pound guy, something like that. And I know that Brendan Schaub, we did talk about this like maybe a month ago. Brendan Schaub kind of put the screws to him and said, look, I'll get Demetrius Johnson on the phone. DJ says now that it is going to happen. They are going to roll. He doesn't like all the hype that's been built up around it. And he says that if it was MMA, he would destroy Bradley with shots to the liver. But, in grappling, he's going to give him a fair fight.
Just real quick, you said his thing is he asks everyone that comes on there, how would a street fight go between the two of us? Do we have any other examples? So there was Demetrius Johnson.
Nate Diaz.
The Paul brothers for sure. He just did it with Sean O'Malley like over the weekend. That's just his gimmick.
I was telling you before, I saw a little clip of shorts yesterday and he was talking to a chess grandmaster and he was like, I'll beat you in chess. And the grandmaster's like, I'm a chess grandmaster. And he goes, I'm 260, bro. Which it did make me laugh, but I've never even heard of this guy, although it seems to be every time I go online now, I'm seeing a lot of talk about this Demetrius Johnson, Bradley Martin. Anthony, do you know who this is and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen some of his content. At first, it was irritating because I thought he was like being serious. I don't know how serious he actually is. He's doing it to the right people, though, for sure. Like, it's definitely
Sean O'Malley, 135 pounds.
Well, he's doing it to people that can take a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I don't know that. It depends on the situation that we would be in, I guess. Boy. But like, if he was like, "Hey, I think I would beat you in a street fight," and I'm like, "Well, the only thing between us is just time and opportunity," and here I am. You know, let's give it a shot. I'm in. But I don't know. Maybe he gets him on the podcast, and it's just lots of fun, and they're just joking around. Like, in the right circumstance, I'm sure it'd be funny for sure. But he knows he can't fight for sure.
Yeah. So from what I'm hearing, then it's just kind of a bit because I wasn't sure if this guy was serious because there is a lot of people. You see it all the time, don't you? Like these videos where people go into, where was it recent? There was a fighter and they invited them into spar. Like these people showing up and like they're street fighters. Was it Sean Strickland?
Yeah,
somebody showed up at the gym.
Yes, yeah.
They were talking shit online, and he said, "Well, come to the gym." And the guy showed up.
Mm-hmm. And Sean beat the shit out of him, right?
Yeah. Fair play.
Well, you know what? Like, he did it to Nate Diaz, who normally doesn't take jokes like that very well, and Nate laughed it all off. Like it was a fun back and forth between the two of them. So it's got to be just all in jest.
So he's having a laugh. Oh, that's okay then. I wasn't sure if he was serious. And if you deliver it correctly in the right way and it's not insulting, you've got a smile on your face, a twinkle in your eye, and you're loving a good sausage, then you'll be fine.
I think
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anthony loves a good sausage.
And I love sausage. If Nate Diaz can laugh about it, then he probably goes about it the right way.
Yeah.
Because if Nate didn't stand up and flip a table, I'm sure that he's an all right dude.
All right, so Hamilton says, I have the Nate vid. Yeah, sure, Brian. Let's take a look.
Not you personal, though, but anybody, any size is like easy.
No, I was talking about me.
Yeah.
Because I asked Devin Haney. Devin Haney thought the boxer, he thought he beat me in a street fight 150.
Yeah, but... Yeah, he probably f*** you up too, though.
You think so? Nah, you really think so?
No,
I'm 260.
I said probably f*** you up.
You think 150 pounds?
I think
realistically.
You're talking about Devin Haney, the boxer.
The boxer, 150.
No, I think he'd find you, but if you grabbed a hold of him, like it's different. And you're talking about me too, so it's different. Like, look,
you're different to me than that.
I know, yeah, for sure. Like if you fought Devin Haney, you got to get him good. You got to grab that little.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, and that's it, right? So you get a hold of him. You grab a hold of Devin Haney, he's probably most likely dead.
Yeah. But you
grab a hold of me, you're dead.
That was good. That was good. That was great. Fair play.
Right. I don't mind.
It's a tale as old as time, though, isn't it? How would this guy do against this guy and blah, 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 blah. Hey, if you haven't done any kind of grappling, you're going to get smoked. Simple as that. Anyway, all right, good stuff. Thanks for joining us on this journey of an episode. Best of luck to everyone competing at UFC 292 this weekend. And we'll end with the questions section. If you have a question, send it into bympod@gmail.com, please. The more original, the faster, the better. Harrington.
He messes this up every time.
Sorry.
Every single time.
If you're listening
is it the baby?
Yeah.
You got a baby? I've got 3 kids, bro.
I got 4.
I'm here.
Yep.
Anthony's got 4. I've got 3.
We're here.
I have 2, 1 Baby Aura and 2 the Believe You Me podcast. So if you're listening on Spotify or wherever you find podcasts, make sure you leave us a 5-star rating, positive review on those platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and you hit that notification bell to find out whenever a new video drops. And if you want to catch over 400 episodes you can't find anywhere else, completely ad-free and totally uncensored, head to gasdigital.com. Use the promo code BYM30. Get a 30-day free trial. Check out over 20 great shows on the network.
All right, first question we got here today is from Scott McCoy.
What's up, Mike? What's up, Anthony? Currently watching the latest episode at work. Loving it, as usual. I just want to ask, what do you guys think of all the champion matchups? Do you think we are overdoing it? I don't think they're quite like when Conor McGregor went for it. I don't think it's the same. I love the Volk Islam fight. I'd watch that 100 times. I mean, now you had Islam calling out Leon Edwards. Aljo says if he beats O'Malley, he wants to do a double champ matchup with Volk. Do you guys think they have the same? I don't know. Is it as much of a spectacle? Do you think we should save them more and have them few and far between, or should the champions be allowed to fight champions as they please and worry about the belts after? Love it, guys. Keep it up, and I will be tuning in next Tuesday.
My man, thank you, Scott. Appreciate the message, and it's a good question. Just want to quickly point out. Well, no, Anthony, take the lead.
Well, it's never going to be as big of a spectacle, anything that Conor does compared to someone else. So anything that if Conor does it and then someone else does it, doesn't matter what champion it is, it's always going to be bigger and feel more important when Conor does it. He was also the first one to ever do it, which made it, makes it very, very special and feel different. So you're never going to feel the same after seeing someone else do it, after seeing Conor do it for the first time. But I don't have any problem with it. I think that guys need to stay in their weight class and defend it at least a few times before we start bouncing around to different weight classes, and let your respective weight class continue to move forward, and those challengers continue to be able to challenge for the belt. But in certain situations, when you have dominant champions and like Volkanovski and Islam are kind of struggling for contenders, and guys that me and Mike can even sit here and try to convince you that they have a chance, then I think it works when you start having champions fight each other. And I think Aljo talking about moving up to fight Volk is fair. We already know that he's having a tough time with the weight class. He's about, if he defends and he beats Sean O'Malley, that doesn't leave us with like a clear contender that we're going to be begging to see. Not that I wouldn't watch them all, but there's just not that guy that stands out, that stands him above the rest. So I wouldn't be mad about a Volkanovski, fight. That I don't, however that goes, whatever. But the conversation I wouldn't be against.
And to be fair, Aljo, he is talking about moving up, but he's talking about abandoning that weight class permanently. Right. He's not just talking about going up and challenging Volkanovski. And I think he's doing that for two reasons. A, it's getting hard for him, and B, to open the door for Merab Dvalishvili, because he's been there, done it, got the T-shirt. This will be his fourth defense. I mean, that's incredible. It really is. Now, to go back to the original question, yeah, I understand what he's saying, but I think they're good for the sport, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. I think it provides extreme excitement. There's nothing, like when Volkanovski fought Islam, when Conor came up against Eddie Alvarez, when DC fought Stipe Miocic. I mean, these are incredible moments in the sport, that the fans, it captures your imagination. And I'm not just talking about selling tickets and selling pay-per-views. The business side, of course, it helps that. I'm talking about the experience for the fan. You know what I mean? I'm talking about my experience because I'm a fan.
Amanda Nunes Cyborg, that was fun.
Amanda Nunes and Cyborg, fucking ridiculous. Yeah. It creates these moments, you know what I mean? And then granted, every time a champion faces a champion, it might not be a blockbuster or the best seller or the best fight. But I do think it is good for the sport. However, there's also a drawback. You know what I mean? You could say, and by the way, Conor McGregor was lightning in a bottle, right? And that set the world on fire when he went up to 155. But he never defended at 145. Okay, so if you want to play devil's avocado, you can bring up that point. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But I think the current trend is, because what you're seeing is, of course, a fighter wants to step up or step down, like TJ Dillashaw did against Henry Cejudo, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's what happened. Yeah. You want to do that because you're not risking your belt. You are not risking your belt. Yeah. You look like a badass. It's a big moment. You're going to make a lot of money. And if you lose at the end of it,
you're still a champion.
You're still the champion of your division. So, of course, you want to do that. But I do think you have to earn that. I think if you're somebody like a McGregor, or even the Stipe DC situation at the time, the Cyborg, Nunes. So you can make these exceptions, but I think generally you should have to be defending the belt once or twice, because as we know, it slows down the other divisions. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It does. But generally, I don't have any issue with it whatsoever. And I think those moments, those big moments that get the world talking about it, I think it's great for the sport. It's great for the fans. It's great for everyone.
It's good for
Brian, I think that's the only one we've got.
No, we got more. Actually, we asked for some on Twitter, and we got a whole bunch in, more than we can play right now. So
Anthony's like, I'm trying to leave. I'm going to Singapore.
All right.
Two more.
Two more. We can do two more.
On the floor.
Yeah.
This one's from a very fancy businessman. His name is Chandler, and he wants some business advice.
What up, BYM Pod? Chandler out of Indianapolis here. Hope you guys are doing well. Quick question for you. As businessmen yourself, obviously you are both fighters, but outside of that, you've had success with the podcast. You've had success on the analyst deck for you, Smith. Commentator for you as well, Bisping. My question is, as far as conducting business, I'm in the finance industry, so obviously it's a little bit different from the fight industry. But as far as how you conduct business, pursue contracts, what's some key strategies that you guys have? Obviously, I'm on the younger side. I'm only 24, so I'm just finally getting into my career where I want to be at in sales and finance, advice planning, so on and so forth. So as businessmen yourselves, do you have any advice, tips, tricks? Love to hear from you guys. Thanks.
Well, thank you for the question. That's an original one for sure, because normally it's like, who's your favorite fighter? And we appreciate the questions. Business advice. Well, considering that I left school at 16, I am the man to ask. But he's right. I've diversified into a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you have as well, Anthony, and life experience. I mean, you've got to be passionate about whatever it is. You know, whatever it is that you're trying to build, whatever business, whatever brand, whatever podcast, whatever it is that you're trying to do, you need to be passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, you ain't going to get it off the ground because you don't even believe in it. So are you passionate about it first and foremost? If you are, then go for it. You know, now are you delusional? You know, is your passion misplaced? Because if it's misplaced passion, maybe your wife needs to give your head a wobble and say, get your shit together, because no one's going to buy what's something that no one would buy. No one's going to buy Harrington wigs. I don't know, that's a bad one, but you know what I mean. If it's just something dumb, but if it's something that you like and you know about it, and you're not an expert in that field, but you have a lot of knowledge and you're very, very passionate about it, then go for it. I mean, I think first and foremost, that's you got to be passionate about whatever it is you're trying to build.
Yeah, I think that's number one. And then I think right after that is get people around you that are smarter than you. I dropped out of high school and I punched people in the face for money and then talk about it on camera. Like that's really as basic as it gets. But I just surround myself with people that are smarter than I am, and people that you trust. You know, people that aren't gonna fuck you over and take your money and whatever. But I've just tried to surround myself with really, really trustworthy and really smart people that have done well for themselves. And you just try to follow those paths a little bit, but you got to do it in a way that you care about. Because if you don't care about it, no one else is going to.
But that's a really good point, though. Surround yourself with the right people. I mean, that is a big one. Because, for example, and I'll give it a cheeky little plug. So UFC Gym UK, obviously UFC gyms, they're all over the world, all over America. I have one in Costa Mesa. We bought the rights, myself and some partners, to the UK and Ireland. And we launched right before COVID. Nobody saw that coming, right? Crippled the business, do you know what I mean? And it was awful, and a lot of money was wasted. Unfortunately, we've been able to scrape by and claw and bring on some new financial, some other backers and things like that. And we're slowly rebuilding. We've got new locations opening all over the country because there's a lot of smart people involved. And yeah, granted, I could say that I'm the UFC guy, but I don't know how to build a business like that. So, you know, have your passion, but also to a certain degree, know when to stay in your lane and know what you don't know. And as you say, surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that can advise you, that can help you.
Right.
But yeah.
That's a good question.
It is. It is a good question. We struggle to answer that one. We're like, can we have more questions about tits? Can we have non-stop erections that we need to tuck into the waistline?
I don't know. I just find
pigs on a fight. I don't know. I'm joking. I'm quite the businessman. What we got, bro?
We have a friend of a celebrity sent in a question on Twitter, and I think this is pretty funny. So,
Michael Bisping. I'm a believer, man, and you said to send in video questions, and so I'm just wondering, like, why don't any girls like me? Because I try really hard to be a cool guy. I've got cool long hair, and I held you held the same belt, well, a different belt, but you held the same belt. I held that belt too, and so I just think like girls should like me more. If you have any questions for me or any responses for the answers,
is that Booger Beard?
Yeah, no, it's Booger Beard.
Yeah, friend of a celebrity.
Yeah, it's Brian's. Sorry, Harrington's got old buddy. Harrington, you boxed him, right?
Oh yeah,
I was referencing Israel Adesanya.
I was like, that's Izzy's friend, right?
No, Harrington's the celebrity around here. Harrington, did you beat him?
Oh yeah, knocked him down twice.
Yeah, he beat
knocked him down once in the first, once in the second. The ref was like, no mas after that.
We don't need a play-by-play. Just a simple yes would have sufficed. Booger Beard, it's a joke question, but if you're trying to attract the opposite species, I would suggest, and we were talking about the movie Happy Gilmore before.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the scene in Happy Gilmore where he gets that caddy? The caddy helps him. He's like, what do I do? He said, just don't do anything that makes me look stupid. And he's like, where were you on that one, dipshit? Harrington, Brian, bring up a picture because he looks just like him with the beard. If you've seen the film and you can remember it, he looks just like that caddy. It's not a good look. Maybe if you're in Alabama, right? And
it's a great look in Nebraska.
It's a good look in Nebraska. I know. It ain't going to fly in London, bro. You know what I mean? If you're trying to get laid, yeah, there he is. That's Booger Beard in Happy Gilmore. Good work, Brian.
All right,
you're going to dip off.
I'm going to throw my little 2 cents in here. Why Booger Beard can't attract any ladies. Every time he threatens someone on Twitter, including myself, he threatens them with sucking their dick.
Oh yeah, he does. That's his go-to.
That's his go-to. Like Anthony Smith, I'm sick of your shit. I'm gonna suck the shit out of your dick. That's a tough way to attract a female partner.
I'm
a fan of Booger Beard, but that's a tough go when your new lady friend you just met looks you up on Twitter.
Yeah, hold on, because I had a thing with him on the DMs.
Yeah,
he was DMing me, right? Hold on, where is it? And what did I say? I said, hold on, because he was going on about sucking dicks again, as you say, right?
I'm sure.
And so I said something back, which was funny, I thought. But then I didn't want to be homophobic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I sent him a DM. I said, hey, man, just wanted to clarify on my tweet. Was just saying I like the tweets about the elephants, etc., more rather than all the jokes that you make about sucking dicks. But it just occurred to me, maybe you're gay and it's not a joke. If you're gay, my sincere apologies. If they're not jokes, I apologize and never would intend any offense. Sorry. If you couldn't give a shit. I said, sorry, I couldn't give a shit if you're gay, obviously. I just thought you were being silly. But my bad, seriously, no offense ever intended. Because you never know.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, stop with the sucking dick stuff. And he might be like, bro, I love it. Then I'm like, what if he's gay? And he's like, Mike, I would never be offended by saying something silly like that. I appreciate the thought, but I'm not with the whole everything is offensive crowd. Thank you, Booger Beard. I didn't even think anything of it, to be honest. And to be honest, even I'm fucking tired of the blowjob jokes. It was fun. It was fun, but I'm just typecasting as the MMA blowjob guy, and it's boring. I beat that joke into the ground. Don't sweat it. Never said he wasn't gay, though.
He never said he was. I was just he just said he's sick of the blowjob jokes.
Yeah. But still, either way, Booger Beard, hope you well, and I don't care what you suck. And we don't care where you are, what you do. Have a great time. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the fights. Anthony Smith will be leaving. You won't be here on Monday's show. We're gonna get a co-host. We're going to get someone to fill in.
All right.
Final message for the believers.
Make sure it's not someone that's very good, though.
Well, no, but we're going to be doing a live Singapore special.
Yeah. So my final
Singapore
message for traveling. I don't know. Tune in. It's gonna be a good time. You guys have talked to me before. We're gonna talk before we go before I fight.
I was gonna say a final message before you go to war, but you're right.
Yeah, we got one more.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Bye, guys.